So my next review is It Follows, and it's an independent horror film that I didn't hear about until a week ago, uh, where my good friend Rob, Movie Review Time, talked about his Blu-ray collection, and he mentioned It Follows, and I thought, oh, I never heard of this movie. So I decided to check it out, and I was pleasantly surprised by this film. Um, it, you know, good horror films nowadays, rarely come, especially uh, original um, horror films. This movie had a really interesting premise and concept, and it was very unique how it was all you know, done. So pretty much, it involves a group of young teens. You have this girl, like this guy. They go on a date to a movie theater, and they're talking and they're playing a game. Like, okay, guess a game where you guess which person you know, uh, like pick like if the game was, I believe, like the guy picks somebody in the crowd, and then the girl has to guess which person they picked, and they're playing this game, and then she says, "Oh, that girl in the yellow dress." No, he says. Actually, he says he's the one who says like the girl in the yellow dress, and she's like, "What? What are you talking? What girl in the yellow dress?" He's pointing around, out the doorway, and she says, "I don't see anybody," and he freaks out, and you find out the reason why because she's not there. I mean, she is there, but he's the only one that sees her, and you find out later the reason why because he's cursed, and he passes on the curse to her after they had sex, which he knew about. Um, so she starts seeing, weird dead people or dead spirits. Well, not really dead spirits. I mean, it's like that, but it's actually this just evil thing that fucks with your mind, where it makes you see just things that are you're the only one that sees them. So they're like invisible ghosts, or visible people. They look like people. Um, and he explains to her, okay, they'll come after you, but if you have sex with someone else, it'll go on to them. But that doesn't mean you're safe because if that person you pass that on to gets killed, it'll go back to you, and then it'll go back to the person before that, and before that, before that. So it's pretty much a reputation. Can't fucking say the word. It's an allegory of AIDS or STDs or any kind of sexual transmitted diseases. Which I thought was okay. That was kind of clever. But and then she's being tormented by this thing, this evil, and her friends help her out along the way, even though they don't see what she sees, but they start believing her as it goes on because they start realizing, oh, this weird shit is going on. Like there's a scene where they're in the beach and then the thing attacks her, and, like by pulling her hair, and they see her hair actually being pulled, and then the guy, there's a dorky guy that likes her, hits her with the chair, and he gets thrown back, and then they're running off. And there's also scenes where like she's in her house at night, and she sees this freaky girl in the kitchen, and I like that there's actually creepy images to this movie. And that same scene, she's in her room, she opens the door, it's her friend, and then there's this giant 7-foot motherfucker, with like, I think he had fucked up eyes or something, walking in the room, and she freaks out and she leaves. Like stuff like that. It's not jump scares, which I appreciate. This movie has great suspense, great tension, and creepy images like that, they don't rely on just jump scares, which was refreshing. That's another thing that surprised me about the movie. And and I don't want to give away too much. I probably spoiled a bit, but if you haven't seen the movie, I definitely recommend it. If you're a horror fan, if you're looking for something original in horror, that's It Follows is definitely something you should watch. Um, there's very, it's the way it's directed, the way it's shot. Really, it's a very unique film. Um, but I don't have much to say about it because it's a movie that you need to see for yourself if you haven't seen it. But I definitely recommend it. I think it's it was one of the big surprises for me of the year so far. Um, and it's a good thing because that's a horror film because it's always nowadays everyone says like there are no good horror films. This is a good horror film, and excuse me, it's good to have at least one good horror film, especially if it's an original film, independent film. I guess that's where you can get your most of your originality nowadays. But not that not that that every horror film that's not original is bad, but just like sometimes you gotta have some originality, which I appreciate that this film did. And the acting was good. It had a creepy vibe to it. The tone, the suspense, the tension. Um, and at first, I would say, like the first 10, 15 minutes were a bit slow, and I was ready to kind of, throw this film out of my mind. I thought like, oh damn it, it's one of these pretentious films. But like no, and then when it gets to the story, that's where it got interesting, and I really enjoyed it. So I know there's not much of a review, but because I don't want to, I don't want to give away so much. But last thing I'll say, like, the climax of the film was really well done, and I don't want to say what happens, but just the way it was done, with these invisible thing, that attacks. But overall, I enjoyed the film. It was a good horror film, very unique, fresh and original, and I recommend it to anyone who likes horror films, especially these kind of films. So thanks for watching, and stay tuned for whatever else I'm gonna review. Okay, adios.